My name's Latifa Thompson, and I own Corvus Bakery, gluten-free bakery. Not only is owning Corvus gluten-free bakery, I own the right next door, which is Nightingale Farms. So when I came into Grass Valley, I moved in here about 6 years ago. I moved here purposely for my children to have a wonderful life, that they can enjoy nature, enjoy wonderful community, and be surrounded by likewise minded people. While coming into Grass Valley, I stumbled across the business for goat milk lotions and soaps. That's hand milking goats, creating the lotions, using the goats from my own property, and making wonderful products. I wanted to expand from that, and I had a huge highlight of people and wonderful people that love the nutrition, love the skin. And so I communicated with other like-minded people of trying to find out what is my next step. You know, it's always great to have someone by your side and helping you, guide you, and support you along your way, in which I discovered a building located in Mill Street. Now, that building had a wonderful and amazing store everyone loves and knows, Corvus Gluten-Free Bakery. Now, that bakery, my husband is also, he cannot handle gluten. He has a gut history ever since in his 18 and 19 years old, and he's been dealing with a huge problem with his guts. And so it was just a wonderful coincidence that things lined up, that we were able to transition and not only buy the building, but also buy the building and the business Corvus and keep it running. At that time, it was a product of it was possibly going to go away, and we did not want that. We knew how important the bakery was for people. We knew how we wanted to continue having good quality food, that not only if you couldn't handle gluten, that you didn't want to feel like you were, what do I want to say? Exactly. You don't want a puny little, but when people think of gluten-free bakery, they don't think delicious. They don't think supple. They don't think good quality. They just think that you're stuck. And I did not want that. When I met my husband, I knew that there was more out there that he could handle, that he can love, and that he can love food again. And so when that opportunity came, I wanted to continue that, and I wanted to expand it to just make more luscious, amazing, wonderful treats for everybody to consume. Having Corvus has been a lot of struggles once you actually become a brick and mortar. I realized I didn't anticipate all the additional things that came when you do have a brick and mortar, to compare to when you have employees, and then you have more additional taxes and such like that. So there is so much that goes involved with it, having a business, especially a brick and mortar. So definitely have a wonderful group support behind you. Look forward to people, amazing people like this community and this group, that they can give you great impact and great information. Definitely the Chamber of Commerce, great information. So I highly recommend of reaching out, because we all want to support other women-owned businesses and keep them striving.
Good morning. I'm Courtney Hamilton. I bought the House of Print and Copy about a year and a half ago. The business has been in Grass Valley for over 35 years now. I am the second or third woman owner. There were two before. One sold it to the other one. She sold it to me. So it's been women owned for a very long time. It's been successful. We're very busy. We're very appreciative of your business too. How I got into the business is not as exciting. My husband was killed in a car accident in 2021, and I had 3 children. And when it happened, I actually figured out kind of what was going on. I was locating him because he drove 100 miles to and from work. And so when he didn't come home, I knew something had happened. And so my thought was maybe he ran out of gas, or maybe there was a flat tire, or so I went to see what was going on. And boy, was I surprised when Oliveville Road was closed off. And the officer very nicely let me know that he had passed away. And so we owned a business at the time. We had 17 employees. He was a general engineering contractor, and my whole life just kind of exploded in that moment. So because he held all of the contractors' licenses, I could have tried to take them over, but I did not feel comfortable in doing that, even though I'd been in construction actually my whole adult life until that point. But I was like, there's a lot there. And I had just helped him get his C60, which is a welding license. And I personally had never welded. I could tell you all about welding and supports and all of them. I've never done it. So I did not feel comfortable doing that. So that day I sat in the truck for 3 hours and panicked because I had experienced homelessness prior to, and now I had 3 children and my life was exploding. And so, long story short, I got it all kind of out that day, and then I pulled up my bootstraps and realized I had 3 children to care for, and I knew how to run a business. And so that's what I did. I bought a finishing business down in Sacramento, working for one of the largest printers in the nation. We did hand finishing for companies like UC Berkeley or First Five California, just a lot, you name it. We hand finished it. And it was really cool. I've loved paper my whole life. And so I have like a private paper collection. I'm such a nerd. But so when I saw a paper company like working with paper all day, I'm like, this is too good to be true. So I did that for a couple years, and it was too far away and a very demanding schedule because I have 3 kids. At the time that my husband died, I had a 15-month-old baby, a 10 and a 12-year-old. And until that point, they had been homeschooled. And so their lives changed very drastically as well. 12 days after he was actually murdered, the woman was convicted of second-degree murder because she was on all sorts of drugs. And it was her 3rd DUI. So she's in prison serving 15 to life now, thank God. But she can't hurt anyone else right now. Yeah, so our lives kind of went into, okay, what can we do? What can I do? So I felt more comfortable in the paper wheelhouse. So I did that. Closed it down after 2 years. Then I became the office manager for Sierra Plumbing Supply. And I felt like I had to close it because there were some things that happened. My employees got poached by the printer, and it was just a bad situation. So not all business endeavors go as planned, or your best laid plans don't always come to fruition. And so, I felt very defeated at that point. And my daughter even said something along the lines, because I had to close down our construction company, like, Mom, are you sure you want to get into business again? You haven't successfully ran one. You've had to keep closing them. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I'll consider that thought. So I was afraid, period. I was afraid. So I was the office manager, and I've done a lot of behind the scenes work. That's what I did with our company, is paperwork and vendors and contracts and all that. So I felt very comfortable in that role. And ironically, this Hauser Print and Copy had been on the market to buy when my other shop closed. So I had considered just jumping from one to the other. But because I felt so defeated, I was like, I'm going to really make sure this is what I want to do. So I took a year and I badgered Patty, the previous owner, relentlessly about, can I see your P&Ls? Can I see what your business is doing? What did you make this month? How is is it consistent? Because a lot of people cook the books. So if you ever get yourself into business, oh my gosh, they could tell you one thing and then you get into it. That's sort of what happened in my first finishing job. Is there was a lot of, he wasn't paying overtime, the first owner, and he was paying minimum wage, and they were working like 18 plus hours a day. So I got in there and I was like, we're doing this by the book. So you're going to be working less because we can't afford to have, so right. So then it was this whole thing. And so all this to say, you need to be very mindful of what people tell you and if it's true or not. You need to go into it knowing that businesses will fail in the first 2 years usually, and that sometimes if you're starting it from the ground up, there is no profit for 2 years while you build you're building this thing, right? So part of why I wanted to buy Patty's business is it was built. So then it was just me coming in and finding what she did and how it worked and embracing that and learning and changing, which is scary. So one of the things we just had to do was raise prices. And boy, did we try everything not to do that, because obviously everything is more expensive right now. And that's a terrifying prospect because I don't want to lose our customers, right? We want to keep it as affordable as we can, but also we still are in business to make money and turn a profit. So we just had to consider this idea, and I lowered my trash bill. Like, right, you have to think outside the box. How can I lower my bills? And but again, just to circle back, it's this idea of, she'd been doing the same thing for many years. And so why isn't it working with me? Well, it's not working the same way with me because I have a loan to pay back buying the business. The economy has changed. Minimum wage has gone up $2-3 since she owned the business, right? So there's a lot to always factor in, that you can't just step in and just keep doing what they're doing. It's yours now, and you have to make the call and figure it out, And it's scary. It's scary, but it's also exciting. And I have a great team. The people that have been there, Jeff, the head graphic designer, has been there for almost 30 years. He knows that business inside and out, and I lean on him all the time. My manager that I promoted, he's been there for over 6 years. And they're a wealth of knowledge that I pull from all the time, because while I was in finishing, I never actually printed. So I had to learn the business itself. I knew how to finish it. I could work in the back room all day, but I've never been face to face with customers or making a print and how it comes out right. And so that was one of the questions on here was, let rewards and challenges that you've experienced. So the rewards are the face-to-face, like having you guys come in. I just had a lovely gentleman, just to give an example, yesterday. His name's Eugene. He was making cookbooks, and he came in and he was very particular, and not everyone on my staff is excited for those particular customers, but I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I was so excited. So we printed his cookbook and I nailed it. I mean, it took me some time to really wrap my head around it, because printing a book is difficult. It has to go, if it's 2 pages up, and it has to come out in order and readable. It's very scary. But we got it, and he came in and he was so excited, and he was so sweet. And he's like, why don't you take a copy for yourself? So he gave me a copy, and then I just thought that was the greatest thing. Like, that just blessed my heart so much. And then he left, and he came back, and he's like, I need you to print another one. And he goes, and I brought you some sourdough starter. And then another day he came back and he goes, I have another one. And I made you this. It was a beautiful little origami butterfly. Just very sweet and thoughtful customers are like the highlight of my day, and it's connecting on a human level. It's not like I want to see everyone who comes in equally, and I don't want anyone to ever feel that they are not welcome in my shop for whatever the reason, or feel uncomfortable. And that's very hard to do, is to build community. But so I'm teaching my staff, because that wasn't always the way that it was. But so it's like we need to connect to people on a human level, because it's very exciting printing your jobs. There's quilters that come in and I get to see what they made. And there's artists that come in and we get to print their work. There's people making cards for Christmas and we get to see it all. It tells such a story. It's like the most amazing part of the job. But the challenges can be when we don't communicate exactly right. When I think you mean this and you meant that, and trying to find that middle ground of how do we get this right? How does your book read front to back without problems? So that would be one of the biggest challenges, is getting the files right and ready to print and doing a good job. And then advice that I would give for women business owners is just go for it. It is scary. I'm like a timid. What's funny, you mentioned that when you were a kid, you wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I remember it was like career day or something in the 4th grade. And they were naming off all these jobs. And I was like, and someone then talked about entrepreneurship. And I was like, And like I knew, like in the 4th grade, that's what I want to do. But I had no idea. I was not raised in that economy of like, I can do it. But I am very determined as well. And you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And sometimes you shouldn't, let me tell you. But yeah, so I just think that if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it's very rewarding. It is very time consuming and can be very hard, but it is totally worth it. And I encourage anyone that wants to start a business to learn what they need to know and go for it.